Greetings, everyone. Tim Anderson here, aka Renfell, and welcome to the latest Project Dramond episode. Coffee. It is April 6th, 2021, and today's Patreon post is all about the quantum wars, which are kind of what started the humans in their evolution and moved them north into the realm of the Fae, which is where they're currently located as of the time of the setting for Project Dramond and the campaign module in the first book series. I got the idea from basically years ago. I used to keep dream journals, and anytime I'd have a strange or interesting dream that I would wake up from, I would jot notes down, and sometimes those notes would be, a couple sentences. Sometimes those notes would be, a full-on page. And then sometimes I'd wake up and just be like, oh my God, I got to write this down and spend the next 45 minutes detailing all this stuff that had happened in the dream. And I had this idea for a world where quantum mechanics existed as a sort of a magical system, an elemental magical system. And when I started writing the most recent science fiction novel that I've been working on, I started that I think at the beginning of uh, can't remember now, January, mid-January, sometime February. I got about halfway through before we decided to kick things off full time with Project Dramond. So that's the draft for that is kind of on the side. But when I outlined that novel, that came from a dream journal entry, and the concept of quantum mechanics being used as elemental magic was kind of the source material for that novel, and I totally stole that idea in its very, very rudimentary form for the humans and their quantum technology in Project Dramond. I toyed with the idea of setting it in the same universe, but it doesn't necessarily make sense unless we do it in a roundabout way, because that book is set, several thousand years after the event that happens in that novel, which kind of changes the course of humanity. And the event that happens here is similar, but it's different timelines. Unless, of course, we start looking at, you know, that book being set, 3 or 4 thousand years in the future of this world, which very much could be the case. I really like what Terry Brooks did with the Shannara series in that sense, where you had Earth going through, these changes, and then that being thousands of years in the future, which in the books is never as clear in the early books. At least I don't remember it being that. I haven't read the early books in a long time. But I remember when I watched the show, my wife and I watched the Shannara show that was on TV 6 or 8 years ago. And by this point, Shannara had been out for 30 years or whatever, and it was very much up front and center that you were living in a post-Earth world, ancient subways and bridges and so on and so forth. Anyway, the post today over on Patreon is about the quantum wars that set humanity on the course of action where they are now. Full details are in the post below. It's the first link here in the description text, which will take you over to Patreon, where you can dive into the quantum wars in their totality. But basically, we're looking at an apocalyptic level of events that happen as a result of humans taking technology too far, perhaps, and then the various human kingdoms and factions and etc. Having an all-out battle, which resulted in them basically wiping out their own, um, almost wiping out their own species, and that caused them to need to look beyond and figure out how they were going to survive. I don't want to give all the juicy details away because, of course, that's for the Patreon post or for the subscribers. But I think that for me, the interesting thing was taking elements of elemental magic, which the realm certainly has, and then blending that with the scientific version. Because when it comes time to play the game for players who are going to be coming down the pipeline later on and actually playing the tabletop version of this game, depending on whether you're choosing to roll a mage or someone from the church, you're going to have access to similar abilities, in the sense that they're all tapping into the same kind of elemental source. So you've got earth, air, fire, water, spirit. Um, but the way that the elves access that magic is very, very different from the way the humans access that magic. One is innate and natural and studied, and the other one is through the means of technological prowess. And I think that allows a lot of fun framework to play with, in terms of creating unique magic systems. Because on the one hand, you've got one that is innate and can be studied, and people need something in them to be able to use that. They need some sort of a genome, some sort of a, you've got something going on genetically that allows you to tap into that magic. And then you've got the other side who can't, but they have ways to nevertheless use that energy and manipulate that energy to their benefit. So today's post is all about how that how the quantum wars started, how those ended, how that has shaped humanity's history to date, and it also definitely shapes the prejudices and the belief systems that the humans have, and their relationships with the Fae in the realm, in the current era that they're living in, which is going to be coming on the pipeline a little bit later on for those of you who want to know more about the lore. Next week's post is going to be about the Elven Civil War. And then once we get past the Elven Civil War, we'll be doing an overview on kind of what's happened since the end of the Elven Civil War up until the current era, and how that has shaped politics and the social structure of the various races that are involved. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with everybody. Hopefully you've been enjoying. If you haven't already done so, don't forget to check out the other videos here on YouTube in the Project Dramond playlist. There's a lot of videos now. We're getting up around 30 videos, I think, at this point. And of course, don't forget to check out the links below to the Patreon page, the Patreon post. All those juicy details are there if you want to get involved. And of course, don't forget to come and join us in Discord. Links are below. Check out the daily TikToks. Links are below. All the links are below. Just go below. Check out the description text. And of course, subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon so that you get updates for all the juicy stuff that we're doing later on beyond this video. Until next time, stay safe.